The Lotus Elise will always stick out in my mind because of the extremely low operating expenses. When I compare consumable costs on the racetrack to my Mazda Miata, the Lotus is less expensive, and that is just amazing. I wouldn't even hesitate to say that the Lotus Elise is the best driver's car that you can buy at the $50,000 price point, and it's easy to make it even better by swapping out the suspension. Today we're going to be putting on a set of Penske coilovers. The factory suspension leaves a lot to be desired, and that's not really a problem because of how inexpensive the Lotus was to start. They had to make it profitable and they had to cut corners somewhere, and one of those areas was the suspension, and luckily it's very easy to remove the factory dampers and upgrade them. On my first Elise, I installed a set of custom JRZ coilovers, and I was so happy with how they transformed the car that I decided this time I wasn't going to cut any corners, and so I ordered the best. I ordered a set of Penske coilovers. Alright, we're setting up the Penske shock. We want to set this to 74.5. A little bit more. Yep. Okay, so now I'm gonna lock this this ring down, and then we'll adjust if we need to on the car. All right, so we'll take this off, and then we'll put the new one in there. All right, the Penskes are going in. This is the ABS bracket, the new one. You can see that this bolts in, and then my shock's gonna go in right there. I'm also replacing the camber arms. So this is the new camber arm. This will actually fix some of the bump steer and provide more camber. The distance from here to the ball joint is shorter on the new arm, and that will sit right in here, basically allowing it to have more negative camber. If we look at the other side, we can see that the wheel is tilting in. So that one already has it done. I'm gonna go ahead and put this shock on. The Penske right here. Put that in, and we will be good to go. So the Penske shocks are in there. You can see that they're installed and they look great. And our camber arm, this black piece, is in there too. So everything's good to go. It's a very easy install. It's one of the easiest shock installs ever. Now before we go on a drive, let's take a look at the old dampers. Now these dampers have less than half the spring rate. This is the front spring rate at 47.5 newtons per millimeter, and this is the rear spring rate at 65 newtons per millimeter. By comparison, the Penskes have a 600 pound-inch front spring rate and an 800 pound-inch rear spring rate. If you look at the shock bodies here, you notice that they're steel and also very narrow, which means that they are susceptible to fade on the racetrack. Now, these are my old brackets, and I had to put new brackets in order to fit the larger shock body of the Penskes. And these are my old steering arms. Now we're going to go out and tune the Penske shocks on the road before we head out to the racetrack. I have the Penske shocks installed. These are the single adjustable, and they are beautiful. The other thing I did was the camber arms, which make the steering effort quite a bit lighter, so it's a big, I'm gonna try to beat that truck. I don't want them to be behind them. is open, but this is where we'll really feel out the shocks, and they already feel great. It's one of the best upgrades you can do to a Lotus. All right, we're back from the test drive. Long story short, the Penske coilovers at more than twice the spring rate of the stock sports suspension coilovers are actually more comfortable on that road. And that's a function of having a good quality damper. So I'm really excited to take this car out to the racetrack. I decided to keep it because I was looking at the Miata expenses, and the Lotus is actually less expensive to own than the Miata is. And so I thought that that was pretty surprising. So I ordered the Penskes for it, and I ordered the other pieces for it that you need. So again, with this Lotus Elise being a base model, they did cut a few corners in order to meet this price point. Number one is the toe links. So I have to upgrade the toe links. That's a well-documented thing. And number two is the oil pan. On the higher end Lotuses, they have an AccuSump, and so we're just gonna put a baffled oil pan in here, and that will be fine because I'm only gonna run street tires on the car. And yeah, that's it. The Penske dampers are well worth it. They transformed the car, and I am going to be saving and storing my original equipment dampers because the values on these cars are going up. So I'll probably put it back to stock before I sell it in the future, but those are really awful compared to the Penske dampers. That is all I have for you. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you enjoy your car.